ready for a Game 5 at the Garden tonight with the Rangers and the Lightning. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Can you feel it, G?
I can feel it in your loins.
Yes, I got it. The butterflies again, man.
Yes.
So I can't wait to see the boys on the ice at the Garden tonight. Can't wait for the fans to get behind them, and they're going to need everything. And when I say everything, all the passion, all the emotion from the fan base. And the boys got to step up, and we got to figure out whether or not we're going to get Ryan Strome and Philip Hedl back. If not, next man up. That's just the way it's got to be in the NHL. It's a Warriors mentality at this point in time, and it's blocking shots, it's getting in front of people, it's hitting people, it's protecting your home net, and it's a controlled rage, like I keep telling you, and not taking penalties, and hopefully you force some penalties, and hopefully Mika Zibanejad and his guys can get loose in this game finally, because the last couple games they haven't been able to get loose, and on 5-on-5, it's been tight. It's been really tight. Nobody's saying that it's not tight. But it's just been a little bit better for Tampa Bay the last two games. So now the Rangers have got to flip that, and I can't wait until tonight's game for that, hopefully to happen. And I'm looking forward to what I would say would be a very spirited effort by the boys in blue. So I'm looking forward to that. Now, you and I have been talking about the Mets.
Yeah.
And obviously it is good news about Pete Alonso, yet last night was not good. They lost the series to San Diego. Mm-hmm. They have today off, which is good. They get the reset, get some of the arms back.
Finally an off day, yes,
right.
that Buck Showalter's been talking about.
Right, and then they'll obviously open their final West Coast, series against the Angels. Now, here's the interesting thing. We were talking about this part of the schedule, and then at the same time, we were talking about the Atlanta Braves. And the Atlanta Braves won again. The next 10 games for the Atlanta Braves are against crap teams. They got 4 against Pittsburgh. I think they play... They may also play, I think, the Washington Nationals in this little 10-game run that they're getting ready to go on. Yeah. And this is why you got to stay away from the 3-game or more losing streak. Whatever it takes, the Mets have got to take 2 out of 3 from the Angels. And the Angels haven't been playing well, even though, they fired their coach and everything else. They
lost again, didn't they?
Yeah, I know. They've been terrible. So, the Mets got to go in there and they just got to put the pedal to the metal, and they got to come out of there with at least 2 wins. Because they'll come home and their schedule isn't that much easier. But the point being is that the Braves are now closing the gap and have closed the gap significantly, 4.5 games. So it is going to be interesting because when they do come home, then they have the Brewers, the Marlins, and the Astros. And those 9 games, the Marlins are always a pesky team.
Pesky bunch.
But the Brewers are a good team, and the Astros obviously are a very good team. So when you look at that and then you compare it to the Atlanta Braves, you don't want the Atlanta Braves being under 4 games behind you.
Yeah, you don't want striking distance. You don't want to get nervous at this point, especially when you had such a big lead. There was an overnight caller that actually made me feel better about this. He was able to put a positive spin on it where he goes, if you look back at the last 13 for both the Mets and the Braves, that they're both 9-4. And because of that, they didn't gain any ground over the last 13. If you look at it that way.
Yeah, and
I said, that's not a bad way of looking at it. If we're going to be thinking differently and we're going to be thinking positively these days with the Mets and not thinking doom and gloom, and we're really trying to make a turn towards positivity, then that's a way to look at it.
That is a way to look at it.
But
the other way to look at it is take a look at the next 10 games and look at the potential, situational stuff going on for So the Braves. So the Braves have won 7 in a row. Then they have Pittsburgh for 4. They have Washington for 3. And then they have the Cubs for 3. So that's 10 games against crappy teams. And then, their schedule gets a little tougher. They have San Francisco, the Dodgers. And then, again, it's the Phillies, the Cubs, St. Louis, Washington, the Mets, and then Washington again. So, and that's the first half of the schedule. It's going to be really interesting to see where these teams are at the end of the first half. The Mets have basically ran away with it to this point. And now it's getting a little bit tighter. And then, of course, Atlanta will have to take that trip, and Atlanta will have to play good teams again, and they'll have to face off against each other. But right now, as we sit here, this is what I was worried about. And that's why they have to take 2 out of 3 from the Angels when they start this series tomorrow.
Right, and of course, there's still a chance that you could salvage this road trip. If you win 2 out of 3, then you get that 500 on the 10-game road trip that we were talking about, the 5-5, and you head home and you say, okay, you survived it, especially with all the injuries. But yesterday, the news and waiting for the news with Marte and Alonso was just really nerve-wracking because you first found out that both of them were not in the lineup before you got the updates on the injury. So it was like, oh, man, so they're not in the lineup, and we haven't heard anything about it. I was thinking this is definitely they found some other broken bone in Pete's hand. And then if you would have added, IL for Marte, because he's got a grade 3 quad strain. IL for Pete Alonso because he's got a broken bone in his hand. Then you're like, oh, my God, the whole thing is falling apart. So you didn't get that yesterday. So, yes, there was a loss. That was critical. I would have rather had good news on those guys than win the game. And you're right. You have to. You cannot let the Angels get right against you.
Right.
They haven't gotten right against anybody in the last 4 series they've played, whatever it is. You cannot let them get right against you. You got to win the series and head home and then keep it rolling. And hopefully you get closer and closer to DeGrom and Scherzer coming back.
So my point is I don't want to see this spread between the Braves and the Mets get below 5 at any point in time in this first half.
That's your line of demarcation.
That's my line of demarcation because the Mets have really played well. Yeah. They really have. And now they're dealing with a little adversity. And you talk about waiting for injury news. That's us as Ranger fans.
Well, hockey in general is wait. You don't know until the puck drops.
But what is really truly amazing is that it's we had the breaks in the previous series with guys getting injured, goalies and other players. Sidney Crosby, of course, playing against backup goalies. Now you're playing against a world-class team, and maybe 2 of your top centers are not going to be available. That's concerning. That is really concerning. Now, you do have depth players that can play center, but as you saw in Games 3 and Game 4, especially in the third period of Game 3 and the entire game in Game 4, there was just nothing being generated 5-on-5, and Gallant was trying to mix and match players and trying to unlock players and trying to create different matchups, and none of it worked. Now, John Cooper made some adjustments when they went back home to Tampa. And, this is a Hall of Fame coach making Hall of Fame adjustments with Hall of Fame players and putting players together, putting Steven Stamkos at center, all of those different things. Now this is where the coach has the impact. It's not just about the messaging in the locker room, but the coach actually legitimately has the impact area now. And we are at the end of the conference finals. And this is where it's ended before for Gerard Gallant. And this is where...
We got to a cup final, too.
I know, but he did get a cup final with Vegas and lost. But again, these are the games where the coach does matter, the decisions that the coach makes. So he tried to make a decision and tried to mix and match lines. And, of course, when you have, Vetrano in a fight and you have Strome go out and then you have Hedl go out, and all of a sudden everything goes out the window and you're trying to mix and match different players. I can't imagine that they're going to separate Kreider and Zibanejad tonight. Those guys are going to be staying together with Vetrano. Keep that damn line together and at least have some semblance of consistency. But again, a lot of it's necessitated by injury and penalties. And what the Rangers have to do, in my mind, is they have to force the penalties, don't take the penalties. Because some of these penalties that they're taking have been stupid. And you got to play smarter than that. You got to play with an aggressive edge to your game. You got to block shots. You got to hit people. They got out hit in terms of the big hits over the last 2 games, and they've suffered from those hits. And now it's time for them to give a little bit of payback, even though you're playing against a bigger, stronger, and maybe a more seasoned team. But that's how you have to protect your home ice. And we've been talking about it all throughout the playoffs. Play well at home. All you have to do is win one on the road. That's not the case here. You play well at home, you're going to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. So today we got some exciting stuff that is happening on the program.
Exciting stuff?
Yeah, exciting stuff.
What kind of exciting stuff?
Well, we are going to announce the 2 fill-in John Sterling play-by-play guys. So John is taking time off in the second half of the season. He's not going to make every road trip. So the 2 guys who are filling in for John are going to join us today and unveil themselves. One at 6:45 and one at 7:45.
Okay.
And we're going to find out. The first one, I believe, is doing the first non-John Road series up in Toronto. And then the second one is doing the non-John Road series down in Tampa. So we're going to have those two guys. It's going to be breaking news. Neil Best right now is up in Bradley Beach, New Jersey, even though he covers Long Island. And he's probably tweeting this out. He's all fired up. Marchand is getting an alert on his phone. There are people covering sports media around. Jason Barrett of Barrett Sports Media. He's now all of a sudden, he just woke up out of a slumber. He's like, oh, man.
Oh, there's some big news.
Some big that you can smell.
Yeah.
Oh, I smell it. There's big breaking news out there that we are announcing the two John Sterling fill-ins that will be taking some of the load away from John during the second half of the season. I don't know about you, but I am just
you're sitting on the edge of your seat.
I am.
You can't wait.
What is that? Wrought with anticipation.
Do you know who these people are? Do you know any of them?
For show purposes, I will say that I do not know who they are, and they will be unveiling themselves to me. When
was this discussed at a post-show meeting yesterday or something? What happened?
Emails flying around, group text, emails, stuff like that.
Yeah, late night text messages.
Late night.
Right, I was not on the text. So.
Well, that's out of respect. Out of respect.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you don't need that.
Surprise
stuff in your
me.
life. Yeah, you don't. You don't need that.
Big deal for the Yankee fan, for sure. No question about that.
100%. And the sports media freaks.
And I'm very happy for the sports media freaks. So they get their food this morning.
Yeah.
And I'm happy for it's two guys.
Yes.
All right. So I'm happy for these guys. I'm not sure who they are.
Yeah, that's right.
But I'm happy for them.
All right. Well,
maybe this is a stepping stone for them. Maybe they'll come in out of the shadows and they're going to step into something, and maybe this leads to something else in their life that they can truly grasp hold of.
Right. Absolutely.
How's that sound?
Yeah. So 6:45 for the first one, 7:45 for the second one, and then 8:25 giving away Yankee tickets this morning. That's happening there. So,
all right.
Yeah, my wife is here today. She is trying to sleep on your couch.
She is?
Yeah. That's what's going on.
What does that mean?
Well, she's trying to sleep on your couch.
Oh, okay.
She just it's a comfortable couch. So I mean,
I go in there in between show breaks. You don't mind, do you?
No problem. As long as you keep the lights off.
Right. I'll keep the lights off. Right?
Yeah, keep the lights off, and then just shine maybe your phone light there. Yeah. So she's in there. So just giving you a quick heads up.
She nice, little comfy.
Yeah, a little comfy in there. Make yourself comfortable, whatever you need. Type of thing. So yeah, I'm catching a flight. Actually, it's a pre-scheduled situation.
Well, it's your 40th birthday on Friday.
Yeah, so I'm leaving a little bit early. We're going on a quick trip.
I can't believe you're 40.
Why can't you believe
you're 40?
Yeah, no. It's a little bit. This one's a little bit tougher to digest. Yeah, I don't know what about it. There's just something where you're leaving your 30s. You're like, man, that's it. That's gone. Whatever. It's halfway to 80. There's something about it. Now I know all you guys are older than me.
You're assuming you're going to make it today.
Right, and I don't know that. So that's exactly. So
health plays a big part of it.
You could also say like, yeah, that more than half your life is over. You could say that. So that's another one of those things. The 40s, freaks you out a little bit.
Are you freaked out?
Okay. Sometimes it comes in waves.
I will tell you, the next 21 years of your life, because that's how far ahead of you I am.
Yeah,
you're gonna have great memories. Your kids are gonna be, graduating. You have to pay for weddings. I mean, it's just gonna be wonderful. You're gonna have all the trappings of the great life. You got two wonderful daughters.
Right.
You're going to be, going to graduations and proms, and taking pictures and
sports.
You screaming and yelling at the guys that are going to try to date your girls, assuming they, that's the way it goes.
If I'm going to allow them to date, you're saying?
Yes, exactly. So you're going to have a very interesting next 21 years. I can tell you that.
Yeah, okay, very good. Right. No, I know. You always prepare me for the worst.
No.
That's what you do.
I'm not preparing you for the worst. I'm
right
preparing
before
you for
we had
the best.
Sabrina, you were preparing me for the worst with it. I mean,
I had to make sure you have to understand that you got two extra mouths to feed now.
Oh, trust me, I understand.
Daddy's got to be the backstop, man.
I trust me, I understand.
You are Johnny Bench now.
I
right?
fully understand. That's why my posture is so terrible because of all.
Well, if you want to be around to 80, you better start working on that.
Yeah, no, I do walk like an 80-year-old already. For sure.
By the way, you were talking about the Yankees and these new announcers, and I'm so excited.
Yeah,
so excited. It's unbelievable. The Yanks obviously have Minnesota today, and Cole's on the mound tonight. Mm-hmm. They got to win this game because
must win Thursday.
It's a must-win Thursday, I think, for them.
Yeah.
They've been awesome, so I'm not worried about that. And then they come home. They play the horrendous Chicago Cubs.
Yeah.
And then after that, it gets interesting because after that, it's Tampa. Okay, it's Toronto, it's Tampa again, and then it's Houston.
That's right.
That is like
that's a stretch
row right there.
That's a little bit of a stretch.
It's gonna be a stretch for them, and this is the opportunity to go head to head against teams within your division and another top team in Houston. So just like the Mets, you kind of look at these schedules and you look at things, and that teams like Tampa and teams like Toronto, but hanging around. And these are the moments where, seasons turn one way or the other. I would think that the Yankees will be okay as long as they don't have any injuries, because that's really ultimately the break-even point or the even-Steven type of situation for these teams are injuries. When do they happen and how long do they last?
Right.
And who are they to? And so for the Rangers right now, it's two centers. And one of them happens to be one of the most dynamic power play players on our team.
Mm-hmm.
So the Yankees have, with the exception of some of the injuries in their bullpen, have basically stayed away from some of this stuff. Stanton was out for a little while, and they weathered that storm. But now, take a look at their schedule. So Minnesota, and then 3 with the Cubs at home at Yankee Stadium, and then it goes Tampa, Toronto, Tampa, and then Houston.
That's right. Big time boomer stretch right there.
Yes.
That's where the rubber meets the road, whatever cliche you want to use. All right, Boomer and Gio.
Metal meets the meat.
Yeah, metal meets the meat.